talking about Buddhist meditation in practice, we're talking about, 2,600 years over, dozens of countries, nation states, some of who don't exist anymore, some of who didn't exist back then, or were called different things. So if there's one thing that the category of Buddhist meditation has, it's hundreds of techniques. So these are all just skillful ways of approaching the same material. We're all dealing with things like attention, sensory clarity, loving kindness, patience, allowing the body to come to physiological rest, training ourselves to calm, to openness. So these different ways of approaching the same material, I've got it on here because I'm fancy. These different ways of approaching the same material are great because there's 8 billion people on the planet and everyone is completely unique and totally different. And this is really valuable. This isn't a problem or a bug or something to fix. It's strange how in nature we seem to love variety, but in humans we kind of get a little weird about it. Like, oh, that's different, I don't do it that way. I mean, the 2,600 years of Buddhist history is full of different traditions being like, you guys over there are doing it wrong, and I'm going to come tell you about it. Totally fine. But, so I am kind of a glutton at the buffet of Buddhist practice. I'm so interested in all the different approaches and the different ways they think about it. It's so interesting to me. So I was thinking today I would just bring you a relatively simple, traditional, what we call in Pali we would call it Shamatha, and in Tibetan they call it Shime. It's this kind of just way of calm, abiding practice. Shamatha is this Pali word that means like tranquilizing or tranquility, abiding calmly. So, and really all you would ever need to do is just sit calmly and rest, but you may not be the only person for whom, that's not a lot of instruction. Maybe, it'd be helpful to get a little more. There's a lot of meditation techniques that deal in what might be called the control method. So I'm sure a lot of people here are used to doing things like counting the breath, maybe noting the breath. When you feel the in-breath, you say in. When you feel the out-breath, you say out. Maybe there's mantra practice involved in some of your traditions that you've studied. Visualizations of different deities or different sacred symbols. And these are all really potent and powerful. And again, for different kinds of people, these might be really valuable. You can basically divide up Buddhist meditation into two categories. The control method, which involves really doing something active and really using a lot of volition. Kind of like, I'm going to pay attention to the breath like this. And when my mind wanders, I'm going to bring it back like this. And it's great, it's very skillful, and everybody should have at least one or two control method techniques in their back pocket. The other category could be thought of as the release method. The release method is very common in traditions like Dzogchen, Shikantaza, and Soto Zen, where they literally you just get real good with your posture, and you just sit down and shut up and see what happens. And oh Master, I saw a divine vision. Great, sit down and shut up. Master, it was terrible. I'm great. You know what I just said. Think of the release method as just developing skillful ways of dealing with our natural tendency to want to do something. And the release method is all about not doing, resting. So I'm going to read a little instruction with a little elaboration. I'll just read it out right now. The way you do this, do nothing. Let whatever happens, happen. Whatever happens is going to happen. If there's a mind wandering, great, let it wander. Do not grab the mind and bring it back to a meditation object. This meditation practice, generally speaking, doesn't have a meditation object. If the mind is wandering, let it wander. If the mind is distracted, let it be distracted. There are no distractions in this kind of orientation to practice. Whatever awareness is doing, and we're just going to let it do it. We're not going to directly manipulate our mental energy. Just real hands off. Whenever you become aware of the intention to control some portion of your experience, drop it. Just refrain. Notice what I'm not saying. I'm not saying don't think anything. I'm not saying don't breathe. I'm not saying if you spontaneously lock in with some part of your experience. Like people who have been meditating a lot in a more traditional kind of paying attention to the breath way, when they try this do nothing, this objectless shine, a lot of times they will just naturally fall into following the breath, and that's great. What we're doing is, we're not trying to stop ourselves from doing anything that is spontaneously arising. What we're trying to do is watch the volition, watch the part of us that says, I should change this, or I should be doing this or that. And we're just dropping that. Is this a one or the other? I'm not a very one or the other person. I like my peanut butter and my chocolate. I like my chocolate and my peanut butter. So, but I have noticed that it's easy to fall into a pattern even on the cushion. And also it's good to have both of these approaches at your disposal, like the left and the right hand. So you could see one as the via positiva and one as the via negativa. You could see one being the additive, cultivating concentration, attention, loving kindness, whatever it is, and the other just letting what is there be there. I mean, and again, it's a spectrum. When we're talking about things, we have to draw them apart to be able to speak clearly about them. But really, everything is flowing together. So just for the purposes of using words, I'm going to pretend like there's really strong distinctions. And also, a lot of, myself included, when I have found that when I'm trying to do nothing, if mind is very active, it won't fly. And I have to do something. So that's why even in the more kind of hands-off, like when I say something like, don't do anything, just rest. There's a certain paying attention to the quality of rest, which is actually active. You're actively doing something, but it's doing like as little as possible. You guys, your practice in the sanctuary of your own heart is absolutely yours. You do what you want to do. But I want to invite you for the next 15-minute period. I'm going to do like a minute guided at the top, and then I'll finally be quiet. But the basic instruction is just sit and let the soft, when you're sitting and you're relaxed, let the soft warmth of your body come to the foreground. And if thoughts come, thoughts come. The trick is we're not chasing thoughts. We're not trying to do anything with thoughts. I've heard it said it's like the benign neglect of a tired grandparent. And the kids are playing on the playground. The grandparent's just like, y'all are good. Just let mind do what mind wants to do and just refrain. Okay. And this includes all the sounds around us from inside and outside the building. refraining also from making strong distinctions about preferred or non-preferred phenomena. So finding that comfy way of sitting that is both alert, with a spine that is more upright, allowing your bones to hold you, to support you. All phenomena, preferred and non-preferred, arise and pass away according to causes and conditions. Whether it's the car alarm outside, or the sound of the sacred bell tolling. I invite you into the understanding that there is nowhere else to go. I invite you to understand that there is nothing else to do. I invite you to understand that there is no one else to be. For this brief guided period, I invite you to just sink into the sensations of your body and breath. Allow whatever sensations that want to come to the foreground come to the foreground. And none of your sensations are likely to be static. You are the awareness which beholds the swirling, patterning of energy. I invite you to just rest and breathe, setting aside the obligation to do anything at all. And if that becomes troublesome, I invite you to just rest in the sensations of breath, noticing each breath that flows in and flows out. And now ring this bell and be quiet. Mm.